Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are expecting a few more people, so let's just give them a couple of minutes and then we'll get started. But big thank you to all of you that have joined in already. Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome. My name is Adil Farhan, and today we're here to share more on how you can prepare for upcoming changes in Chrome. Please feel free to ask questions throughout the session, and we will try our best to answer them towards the end of the session. Myself and Kenneth are part of the Google News Initiative team. The Google News Initiative expands on Google's decades long dialogue and collaboration in the news industry to support journalists, strengthen publishers' business models, and build a global news community. Because when journalism thrives, people everywhere have access to a range of reliable sources to get the timely information they need. To date, the Google News Initiative has partnered with thousands of news organizations in more than 100 countries to provide tools, programs, and workshops that help publishers worldwide in boosting readership and revenue as they evolve their businesses. To help you prepare for the upcoming changes in Chrome, we're also excited to introduce you to an expert from the Google Web Ecosystem team, Stephanie.
Thanks, Adil. Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie, and I'm part of the web ecosystem team. And our team's mission is to maintain the health of the web ecosystem for all users.
That's great. Thank you so much, Stephanie. So, we have four items on our agenda today. First, I'll spend some time talking about the next era of privacy online and what's changing. Then, we'll get into some next steps that you can take. And finally, we'll walk through a new Chrome extension from Google that will help you understand and track what third party cookies your site uses. So, let's get started. So, we're here today to discuss the opportunity that's in front of us building the better, more private internet together. It's also been able to support many industries in every corner of economies around the world. For many of us, it's safe to assume that your own job and your ability to provide for yourself and your family is dependent on the internet as well. Many of the online experiences we value, for example, shopping and content recommendations, banking to checking the weather, have relied in some part on the sharing of information across sites. Data sharing supports the basic functions of the internet we take for granted, like login and remembering where we left. But it also allows businesses to earn money so they can continue to provide their content and services to the world. But we've encountered a real problem. With so much of our daily lives managed online, our personal information is being shared in ways that aren't always clear to us. We could talk about the research in user sentiment or the rise in regulations globally, but each of us have already felt this at a personal level. And it feels personal because it is. Underlying technologies allow for individual level identification, and we aren't given enough control over how that data is shared. In light of this, Chrome is proposing a path to elevate user choice. This would introduce a new experience that lets people make an informed choice that applies across their web browsing, and they'd be able to adjust that choice at any time. We're discussing this path with regulators and will engage with the industry as we roll this out. We believe consumers should be able to enjoy the internet without worrying about their personal information. We remain committed to that. but I want to acknowledge that the path has changed. Instead of cookie deprecation, Chrome is proposing to give users the choice of how third party cookies will be used. While this is a change in approach, our mission remains the same. The overall goal for Privacy Sandbox has always been to improve privacy. That means making people feel protected online and ensuring businesses can continue to thrive. This new path forward is consistent with these goals. We'll continue to work with you and engage with the ecosystem to drive wider adoption of the Privacy Sandbox APIs. While we can't predict what exact user preferences will be, we expect this approach to result in a significant number of users deciding to disable third party cookies in Chrome. This means that it's important for businesses to continue to be ready for increased cookie-less traffic and to continue to enable and invest in the Privacy Sandbox APIs. As we have done since the inception of Privacy Sandbox, we will engage with stakeholders to get feedback and input. We'll continue to engage in this dialogue as we pursue this approach. We know that businesses need to continue to bring high quality experiences to users, to deliver and monetize with relevant advertising, and to assess what's working for their partners and their audiences. Through the Privacy Sandbox initiative, industry collaboration over the last few years has led to a toolkit of over 20 new APIs and technologies that raise the bar on privacy and utility. We're continuing to invest deeply and innovate on these technologies. This industry has faced tough challenges before, and with so many passionate voices, we all have the opportunity to change. If we work together, we can build the internet we all deserve. One that's private at its core, that's useful for businesses, and guided by openness and transparency. And we're grateful that so many companies have answered the call to make this an industry wide initiative, building together and in the open. Through openness, collaboration, and innovation, we can make sure everyone's needs are represented in the future we're all building together. We're creating a new path forward with new and innovative technologies. There are many creative and talented minds working to push the boundaries of what's possible in order to support this industry and the internet as a whole. We all have a role to play in the future of the internet. Much of the heavy lifting will rest on the ad tech and other service providers that many companies rely on. But brands, publishers, and site owners can also take action to ensure their sites are ready and that their needs are heard. I would now like to share a quick update on what's changing. So on July 22nd, 2024, Chrome announced that instead of deprecating third party cookies, they plan to offer an experience that lets users make an informed choice about their web browsing. While details of this new path are still being discussed and will be shared when ready, it remains important for developers to have privacy preserving alternatives and for publishers to understand where they have reliance on third party cookies so that they can implement the most appropriate data solutions. I would now like to pass it on to Kenneth, who will share more on what steps you can take in light of this change. Over to you, Kenneth.
Thank you, Adil. Thank you. Well, everyone, as a caveat, okay, you know the site's codes, plugins, and dependencies best. While the report aims to be informative as possible, the analysis is not exhaustive and should not be used as a single source of truth. You may have additional third-party cookies that this analysis does not identify. Regroup with your developers to audit the findings. Let's take a look at the common critical user journeys. Things like page navigation, content personalization, comments, sign-in, registrations, and also we have payment, access to secured areas like paywalls, remembering user preferences like language or font size. You might be using other code libraries for marketing, site functionality, or analytics to provide a smoother site experience, like keeping your audiences locked in, saving site preferences, or allowing third-party logins. It might be helpful to review common use cases for third-party cookies. In your report, if you see Google Ads, double-click Tag Manager, or any other Google products, you might be using an outdated plugin or code library. If you use a CMS like WordPress or Newspack, update your plugins in your CMS dashboard or settings, or contact your vendor directly. If you use Google Sign-in version 2 or earlier on your site, such as for subscriptions or donations, you will need to update the code library to a newer Google Identity Services library. If you need to make this update, it is listed under the report under actionable items. For more information on Google Sign-in migration, you can go to goo.gle/signin. We will share the link in the chat below. Right now, I would like to hand over to Stephanie, who will now walk us through that overview of the Privacy Sandbox analysis tool. Stephanie, over to you.
Thanks, Kenneth. So let's take a look on how we can get started with Privacy Sandbox analysis tool. But first, before we install, let's create a new Chrome profile so that we can get a clean environment without any prior cookies, any prior user preferences, or any prior extensions. And then next, you can go to goo.gle/psat. So this will actually open up a Privacy Sandbox analysis tool on Chrome Web Store. And you can select Add to Chrome button on the top right-hand corner. And Privacy Sandbox analysis tool will then need some access, like for example, for accessing the page debugger backend or manage your app, extensions, and themes. To approve, select Add Extension. It should take a few seconds to install. And once it does, you can open a new window and go to your site. To use the extension, you can select the icon on the right-hand side of the address bar and then select Analyze this tab button. If you don't see the icon, you can select the puzzle icon right next to it, and it will open a list of your extensions. After you select Analyze this tab, the Privacy Sandbox analysis tool will try to classify all observed cookies on your current web page, and it will list it as third-party cookies or first-party cookies. And the tool actually uses and contributes to the Open Cookie Database. It is an open source effort to categorize as well as describe the cookies that exist in the ecosystem. So for more information on your cookies, you can go to Chrome DevTools by right-clicking on your website and then selecting Inspect and select the Privacy Sandbox tab. Under the Cookie section, you will see a list of all your cookies observed in the current web page. And just so you know, this list doesn't include the vendors or the plugins that is actually using the cookies. So please refer to your own individual list for audit and check with your vendors. Your developers can also use this tool, the Privacy Sandbox Analysis tool, to check and to test for breakages on your website by running your website on an environment where third-party cookies are disabled. And the Privacy Sandbox Analysis tool will also be continued to be updated in the future. I will now pass it back to Adil.
Thank you, Stephanie. That brings us to the end of our session, and we really hope you found it useful. Let's move over to the Q&A section now. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Really hope you found the session useful and insightful. As always, please keep your feedback coming. That's very valuable to us. So we are in the Q&A session now. We do have some questions that our audience had sent earlier. So let me get started with that. So the first question is, what did Chrome's user choice announcement say? Thank you so much for your question. So on 22nd of July this year, Chrome shared an update on the Privacy Sandbox's mission to meaningfully improve online privacy while preserving an ad-supported internet and a vibrant web ecosystem. And instead of deprecating third-party cookies, Chrome is proposing a new approach that elevates user choice. And this new experience would let people make an informed choice that applies across their web browsing, and they'd be able to adjust that choice at any time. We will share further details on timing with the ecosystem in the near future. And then we have one more. So, why has Chrome chosen not to deprecate third party cookies and pursue this new path? Excellent question. As you know, the focus of Privacy Sandbox is to improve privacy on the internet, and we remain committed to this goal. Given the implications across the ecosystem and considerations across so many stakeholders, we now believe user choice is the best path forward for improving privacy on the web, and continued investment in privacy enhancing technologies. I hope that helps address your question. Then we have one more. Will the new experience be opt in or opt out? Kenneth, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Adu. Well, okay, so as a question, will the new experience be opt-in or opt-out? Well, our goal definitely is to ensure that users can make an informed choice. So the thing here is that we need to think through this user experience and work on the designs and discuss our updates with the plans, with the regulators before we can share any update on the ecosystem itself.
Okay, thanks, Kenneth. Uh,
Yeah.
then another question. So, what is the advice for advertisers and publishers given the user choice announcement? Should they continue testing or wait? Stephanie, if I could request you to please take this one.
Yeah, sure. So basically, our advice is that we would encourage you to actually continue investing on preparing for a world where third-party cookies is no longer there, because even though we switch into this user choice in cookies, there will be some portion of the traffic that might still choose to not have any cookies in that in their traffic. So our suggestion is to continue invest on this. Either you can see if you can completely move into another solution that doesn't require third party cookies, or maybe you want to also explore the Privacy Sandbox APIs. So we do have a set of APIs that can help you to do things that you do today, but without third-party cookies as well. So do check out our website. It's privacysandbox.com. So there is a list of APIs and a lot of guidelines there as well. Hope that answers.
Thank you, Stephanie. And we do have some time. So, for everyone watching live right now, if you still have any questions, feel free to use the chat button and send them our way, and we'll try our best to address them. Okay, so the next one is around Android. How does Privacy Sandbox on Android relate to Privacy Sandbox on the web? Great question. I can take this one. So, the web and mobile, as you may know, rely on fundamentally different technologies, but there are similarities in the ways advertising supports the web ecosystem and the ecosystem of free apps. So, the Privacy Sandbox on Android and for the web share a common vision of enhancing user privacy while supporting key business capabilities on mobile and web platforms, respectively. Um, okay, and the next one is why would I have to check my site for breakages on Chrome when it works fine on Safari, where third party cookies have been deprecated for years? Uh, may I invite Stephanie, our resident expert on this, to please take this on?
Yes, sure. So there is actually a possibility still that your site could be impacted even though you have done something for Safari. Um, so the reason is that it is possible when you do this before. It was done specifically for Safari. So you might want to check your service providers that provides the third-party cookies for you, or even your own development team, to ensure that this is actually will not impact anything in your Chrome traffic as well. And we actually also encourage you to try out the privacy sandbox analysis tool to check on what are the cookies that might be affected and see how it behaves. Another option that you can do is that Chrome actually have this flag to disable the third-party cookies. To basically, it will be helping you to simulate the environment in the future where users might say that I don't want any third-party cookies anymore in my browsing experience. So you can check it out how your website behaves without any third-party cookie in the traffic. So that could be a way to check um, whether your website will still function properly in Chrome even after you have done things with Safari before.
Thank you, Stephanie. We do have one more question, and Kenneth, would you like to take the last one on?
Yeah, sure. Let me see. Will Chrome consider feedback from the ecosystem and industry on the new user experience? If so, when and through what channels? Okay, cool. So the Chrome team is working on the designs for the user experience, focusing on ensuring users can make informed choices. We will continue to discuss our approach with our regulators, and once we have made progress on this work, we will share the update with the ecosystem for sure. And I hope that answers the question. Yeah. I do have
Thank
over
you,
to you.
Kenneth. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Stephanie, for both of you for joining me today for this session today. Thank you to everyone that joined us live for this session. As requested earlier, please send in your feedback. And thank you so much for joining us. With that, it is goodbye.
Oh, wait. I do sorry to burst your bubble on the goodbye. It seems like a. Oh, no, I think we'll take it offline later. Hmm. Yeah, I do. Sorry. I mean, there's a question right now. So, do we want to take the question here, or do you want to give it to them later after the session?
I think the
Yeah,
time's
so the
ended, so
question
we
is,
can
oh,
end the live stream. Kenneth, time's ended, so we can end the live stream.
yeah.